Hello everyone, I'm Hettie Ward, Assistant Keeper in the Paintings, Drawings and Prints Department at the Fitzwilliam Museum. For this edition of Museum Remix, I'm going to take a look at one of our botanical watercolours by one of the most renowned of botanical painters, Pierre-Joseph Redouté, who was born in Belgium in 1759 but spent much of his life in Paris, where he died in 1840. Upon first sight, this rather unassuming, quite unimpressive plant could, to a botanically untrained eye like my own, be mistaken for a humble nettle due to its serrated heart-shaped leaves, but it is a much more interesting plant than that. It is called Josephinia imperatricis and belongs to the Sesamum genus, a group of plants with edible seeds. The Sesamum indicium is the one that gives us sesame seeds. Redoute was commissioned to paint this watercolour by Empress Joséphine, the wife of Napoleon Bonaparte. The plant was named after her when it was brought to France from New Holland by an admiral of the French Navy, Captain Hamelin, who had been sent on a 2-year scientific expedition to Australia with his fellow explorer, Captain Nicolas Baudin. Their aim was not to obtain new lands, but to peacefully bring back as many plants, animals, and seeds as they could find. When they returned in 1803, they had accumulated the largest collection of its kind ever seen in Europe. But who do you think helped them to amass such a wealth of natural resources? Did they seek the expertise and guidance of the local people, whose stories and contributions to the discovery of new plants have been missed out? To say that the Empress Joséphine loved plants would probably be an understatement. In 1799 she acquired the Château de Malmaison, which became her pride and joy, as she filled it with exotic plants from all over the world, including the Josephinia imperatricis. She even had herself depicted with this plant in a portrait painted by the French artist Pierre-Paul Prudhon around 1805, which is now in the Louvre in Paris. The documentation and recording of her garden was of extreme importance to her. She commissioned Redoute to paint not only this plant but many others that were brought together in a number of publications. Some of the original watercolours for these can also be seen in the Fitzwilliam's collection. The plant was published in the 1803-4 volume entitled The Jardin de la Malmaison, with text provided by the botanist Etienne Pierre Vintena. In his dedication to the Empress, he praises her for bringing together so many of the rarest plants then growing in France. He describes the garden, and I quote here as the sweetest memory of the conquests of your illustrious spouse, and the most amiable proof of your studious leisure activities. So this leads me to consider the role of the Empress's garden, and the way it proudly displayed the exotic plants gathered from the countries her husband Napoleon Bonaparte had conquered. Her garden proclaimed power and empire. The botanist Vintena also praised the Empress for her studious contribution to plant sciences. But what should we make of Josephine's role in bringing these plants to Europe? Should she be recognised for furthering botanical knowledge, or was she simply satisfying her own desires? And what about giving this plant from Australia a European name and a woman's name? What about Redoute? He never visited colonies himself, but he built up his reputation and became renowned in his field for his role in illustrating publications about exotic plants from colonies and conquered lands. Botanical illustration is often admired for its beauty and accuracy, which can mask the ways in which the plant was acquired in the first place, and the brutality of the war and violence that was there to enable the plant to be seen, studied, collected, and painted. So what do you make of this watercolour? These are just some thoughts and questions that I'll leave you with. Happy remixing.